Welcome to our channel Legal Scrutiny. Today we have with us Mr. Shobhushachi Chatterjee, Advocate High Court at Calcutta, the advocate who fought the famous Battle of Durga Puja before the Honorable Calcutta High Court and has been able to secure a victory from the Calcutta High Court, which has probably resulted in saving of thousands of lakhs of life post Durga Puja. The effect and the result will be probably we will probably be able to understand and see post Durga Puja. So Mr. Shobhushachi Chatterjee has done his Bachelor's of Law from prestigious Ramaiah College of Law, Bangalore. As a student of law, he has participated in various national and international moot court competition. He has presented paper in various prestigious national and international conferences. After graduation in law, he has joined the Howrah District Court. There he has conducted magistrate trial, sessions trial, and after 2 years of practice in Howrah District Court, he has shifted his base to Calcutta High Court. And thereafter, he is practicing in Calcutta High Court, both in original side and in appellate side. Shobhuda, at the very outset, I would like to congratulate you for the victory that you have been able to secure from the Honorable Calcutta High Court.
Thank you so much.
And I also must say that the judiciary is the protector and guarantor of constitutionalism in this land. But then it is because of the advocates like you, the judiciary has been able to discharge this constitutional duty and has been able to ensure a governance of constitutionalism in this land. So at the very outset, I must again congratulate you before beginning with this particular interview.
Thank you.
Dada, as a student of law, I always wonder that being a student of law, somebody who has studied from a college which is not located in Calcutta, so resultantly, the colleagues that you had in Calcutta High Court initially, they were not your batchmates or college mate or junior or senior, and you are a first generation lawyer. So how did you handle the challenges that you had faced in your initial years of practice?
Look, Purbayan, the practice itself, the term practice itself denotes the challenge to the life and challenge to the survival in the profession. A person needs to survive in the profession by means of his skill, which he basically acquires once he joins the profession. Before joining the profession, we just learn how to read law, that's all. Our 5-year course of law, that is this 5 years course which we normally do for this acquiring the degree of BLLB, we only learn how to read law, how to interpret law. There are several rules of interpretation for particular area of law, and we only acquire that knowledge. But that knowledge is transformed into the skill once a person enters into the profession. So it is basically the skill which we learn every day by our trial and error method, by involving ourselves into this profession, at least for making ourselves available for full time in the profession. Then only a person can acquire this skill. So there cannot be any substitute of the hard work and learning. You have to be an open-hearted person to learn the things. You should be open for any kind of ideas. You should be open to inculcate any kind of doctrine which are available in this legal profession. And I would add one thing, that today, considering the importance of technology, a lawyer must do mastery over the technology. When I joined into the profession in 2010, after my enrollment, although I joined the court before my enrollment, after coming from Bangalore, I joined Howrah Session Court. When I joined Howrah Session Court as an advocate, I found the friends surrounding me, they might not be from the same college or university from where I have done my law, but I found themselves to be the persons from my own generation. So I found their thoughts are quite similar with my thoughts, being the member of the same generation, and it was not a difficult thing to make them my friends. I could make them my friends, and actually started building my relationship with them by, habits of a person has a very important role to play. And Purban, I have learned this from one of the eminent lawyers of the country, Mr. Siddharth Luthra. When I was doing my internship in Delhi, I can still remember, it was night 10:30, sir was sitting in his chamber, and I was just pulling out some judgments, and I was instructed by my immediate senior who was looking after my internship. I was deputed to pull out some judgments for Mr. Luthra, and I was there at his chamber with the judgment. I can still remember it was that Bhajanlal's case, that very famous washing case. I took a copy of that judgment and I was waiting for Mr. Luthra. Mr. Luthra came, and that day he got some time to ask me that how are you planning your future? How are you going to how are you planning for your practice in future? Because that was my third year or fourth year. Third year, I can still remember. It was December. So I asked Mr. Luthra, I don't know how to start my practice because I'm a first generation lawyer. Mr. Luthra said that don't worry, it's a place where you have to start from zero, and it is your habit, and it is your that your understanding of social relationships and your habit of socialization which helps you a lot to do something in this profession. I cannot say that I'm doing good, I'm doing excellent, because nobody can claim in this profession that they're perfectly doing excellent thing. But what I can say, that I am putting my best to do something in this profession within the capacity which I am having. That's the only secret of any person: hard work and your commitment towards the profession, which can take you anywhere. And it is not a difficult thing, Purban. You can go anywhere, everywhere in India or anywhere in the world. If you have your skill, if you have your intention to acquire knowledge, more knowledge, and if you have the open heart, then you can make friends anywhere in the world, and you won't feel yourself isolated. That's the only thing.
Right, right. That's so true. I mean, even I feel, because I am somebody who's studying probably not in Calcutta, and I've been told by a lot of people, like, it's going
You
to
must
be
come
a
to
very
Calcutta because it is your state high court. You must remember, because a person should do, according to me, a person should start from lower court, at least get some experience for at least 2 years from the court of this original court of where the suits are instituted and cases are started, and then a person should shift to the high court and must do some high court knowledge, and automatically you can do a lot of good things in Supreme Court and any other high courts if you have good basis in your state
right,
or
right,
your home
true.
jurisdiction.
That's very true, Dada. That's so true. Dada, at the initial years of your practice, you were fortunate to get guidance from some of the best advocates at Calcutta High Court. How do you describe your experience of working with them, and what was the contribution that they made in shaping your career in the legal profession?
I was very lucky in that respect, because all of the seniors whom I have come across and worked with were very good, and they have huge contribution in my personal life and professional life. I should begin with my seniors who led me in Howrah District Court. I started with Mr. Tomal Banerjee. He is presently a public prosecutor of Howrah Sessions Court, and I started to learn this criminal law practice, basically law related to remand and law related to the magistrate trial, from his chamber. And thereafter I shifted to my senior's chamber, to Mr. Mihir Banerjee. He is presently a bar council member in West Bengal, and he is having a huge practice in Sessions Court in Howrah and other Sessions Court in the state. They have contributed a lot in my professional life. They taught me how to examine the records, how to get the record, and how to access the record, and how to make notes of sessions trial, how to conduct a trial, how to conduct a cross examination and examination in chief, and all these things, because these are very technical aspects a lawyer must learn in his learning process and in his practice process. And by learning all these things, a lawyer can actually build up his edifice to move to the High Court or any other appellate court. And obviously the apex court also, where most of the major points are the question of laws. Question of arguments on question of law will definitely be much easier if you have a good foundation on the facts and records of original records of the case. Then an argument can get a good shape, and which can be very powerful. So it is a mandate. According to me, a person should learn or spend a good time, adequate time in your court to learn how to begin the practice.
Right.
So all of them have contributed in respect of my lower court. Therefore, when I joined High Court, I had an opportunity to join the chamber of Mr. Subroto Mukhopadhyay. He was the junior standing counsel of the state of West Bengal till 2011, and I was there for 6 or 7 months, worked with Sir in many of the constitutional matters, which includes the matter related to the question of keeping some of the newspapers in the library, because government came up with a notification saying that there will be a mandate that a library must keep this list of newspapers. So A, B, C, D, E, a list was, exhaustive list was prepared by the government, and it was communicated to all the libraries. And you know, Purban, there is an act in West Bengal, that is West Bengal Public Libraries Act. And in that particular act, there are schemes that how these libraries will operate in the state, particularly with their autonomous character, and the decision of keeping newspaper, which newspaper will be available in the library, which was available, this power was vested with the managing committee of the library, which is essentially an elected body. And that power was taken away from them, and government directed these libraries to keep a list of some newspapers. So beyond that, they were not supposed to keep any of the newspapers, and this notification was challenged, and I was an advocate in that matter. There were several other matters, important question of constitutional law were dealt with, like this question of Parliamentary Secretary Act. The virus of that particular statute was challenged, and ultimately this particular act was declared as ultra virus by the High Court at Calcutta. And as well as I can still remember, there are several other constitutionally important matters which I did with Mr. Mukhopadhyay. There was a case, you can still remember, that handcuffing itself is an illegal act in West Bengal. And in the year 2013, I think in February, a boy was arrested, detained in Siliguri by police, and that boy, namely Santosh Shahani, who was handcuffed and chained at the hospital. And when he was at the hospital, he was changed with the bed, and the state government came up with the plea before the court that the government was compelled to chain him because of the fact there was rush of media people in the hospital. And immediately the Honorable High Court, a bench comprising of the then Chief Justice of High Court Calcutta, Justice Arun Mishra and Justice Joymallo Bagchi, they delivered a historically important judgment wherein they imposed an exemplary cost on the police authority and created an exhaustive guidelines regarding handcuffing and this procedure. And Purban, there are judgments that Prem Shankar Shukla and others, the list of those judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court, where these questions were dealt with and law was settled, and the court delivered this judgment, which I got. And this was, some of the judgments, this becomes a turning point of your life if you find your name appearing in the judgment published by the judgment reported in the books journal. These are the turning point of your legal career. According to me, these are the inspirations, and wherein this couldn't have been done without the cooperation of my seniors, whom I got the chance to work with. And I will be not doing justice if I don't take two more names I have to take. One name is Mr. Arunabh Ghosh, who is an inspirational lawyer in Calcutta High Court, who inspired me a lot to engage myself in many of the public interest litigation matters as well as some of the labor matters. He is a very extraordinary labor lawyer of Calcutta High Court. And last but not the least, rather the primary, the name which I must take as my senior, that is Mr. Vikas Ranjan Bhattacharya. I have to take his name because, somewhere a person needs to learn the completeness of a lawyer. You must look up to someone who has a complete character as the lawyer. And it is Vikas Ranjan Bhattacharya, without whom I could not understand what is lawyering together, because he is a complete man who can argue a case at any point of the time with any point of the law, and who has the capacity to appreciate the appropriate evidence at the appropriate time, or to appreciate the appropriate document at the appropriate time, to address the court or to bring the attention of the court, draw the attention of the court to get an order in his favor. And this persuasive capacity itself has attracted me towards the character of Mr. Vikas Ranjan Bhattacharya as a senior advocate, whom I consider as my ideal in the court.
Wow, that's very rightly said that. So, coming to the Durga Puja litigation, Dada, so there were two primary litigation, if I'm not wrong, right?
Right.
So one was the challenge against the 50,000 grant case, and there was this another case there you shot a direction from the High Court of Calcutta regulating this entire affair of Durga Puja. So if you could tell our viewers about your experience about both the litigation, how you initiated the litigation and how it went well with the Calcutta High Court.
Yes, I can tell you this original fight began in the year 2018, when the present government of West Bengal decided to give grant of rupees 10,000 to all the puja committees. And this was initially challenged by one Mr. Saurabh Datta in 2018, where Mr. Shamim Ahmed, one of my friend, and he was the advocate on record. He filed this petition on behalf of Saurabh in 2018. And in that matter, initially the division bench comprising of the then Chief Justice, Mr. Devashish Kargupta, and the Honorable Justice, I cannot remember, Shampa Sarkar, they delivered a judgment where they initially stayed the entire grant, and later on they declared that it is justified that this can be given to these clubs, and it was, I think this order was again challenged in the Supreme Court, which is pending. Keeping that previous experience in mind, this time also the government decided to distribute grant of rupees 50,000 to each of the clubs. Saurabh Datta again filed a petition through Shamim Ahmed, and which is pending, and the Honorable Justice Sanjeev Banerjee and the Honorable Justice Arijit Banerjee given certain embargo on the expense of this 50,000 rupees, and they have given framed the guidelines how this money will be spent by these puja committees, particularly by stating that 75% of this amount should be spent for the purpose of purchasing these masks and sanitizers, specifically masks and sanitizers, and nothing else apart from mask and sanitizer, and rest of the money will be spent for this community policing by involving the human. This was the first litigation, and the second litigation, which was filed by my client, Mr. Ajay Kumar De. He is an ex-employee of Calcutta Electric Supply Corporation, and this limited, Calcutta Electric Supply Company Limited, and he filed this litigation where he demanded, his initial prayer was that please struck down that notification had that permitted this Durga Puja committees to perform public performance of Durga Puja this year. Because considering the COVID situation, and government was considering, if you examine that particular notification of Durga Puja 2020, that notification contains several clauses wherein it was stated how the government will regulate the COVID protocols in the puja pandals during the Durga Puja, because the purpose of that notification or purpose of distribution of 50,000 rupees to each of the clubs or puja committees was to regulate the COVID situation or maintain the COVID protocols. And we challenged that notification on the ground that this time nothing is required if the crowd is controlled, because crowd should be controlled considering the number of spike in this state. Today also, Purbayan, we had a huge spike. I think 12,000, 1,200 something spike today in West Bengal, state of West Bengal, immediately after Durga Puja, which is happening. So it is dangerous situation persisting in this state where we are unable to appreciate the intention of the government in respect of allowing Durga Puja in this state by issuing such notification wherein government said that all COVID rules has to be maintained and pandals will be constructed in such a fashion, and there would be availability of masks and sanitizers in the pandal. But we knew that until and unless the crowd is restricted, you cannot control or combat COVID. So we filed the petition. Mr. Ajay, they affirmed the petition, it was filed, and ultimately it was argued by Mr. Bhattacharya, and ultimately we were able to convince the bench, and it was also the honorable judges of the honorable court who were dynamic and who clearly stated that in their order that we have nothing against the government circular or government arrangement, but we feel that this arrangement itself will be futile until and unless they are given the tooth and nails to be implemented. So government was provided with a modalities fixed by the court so that government's notifications could be implemented in a proper manner. And now we saw on the date of Saptami, Astami, Navami, there are many other reasons for this time, the less crowding, but this time the crowding was controlled. One of the reasons was the judgment of the Honorable Court. So this has helped the police a lot to control the crowd in the state during the time of Durga Puja. So it is fantastic experience. I congratulate Mr. Ajay Dev for taking this brave stand, and definitely I will say that Mr. Bhattacharya was kind enough to argue this matter without being paid a single penny for this particular matter. All of my juniors of my chamber, they have worked. I should take name of few: Indrajit De, Ankan Vishwas, Akashdeep Mukherjee, Pintu Karak, some of the intern like Ankur Sharma and others. They worked a lot for this particular matter. Day and night they used to work, and ultimately we could manage to I would say that the Honorable Court was pleased to pass an order in favor of humanity, and by recognizing humanity above our emotions towards a religious festival.
True, very true, Dada, very true. The judgment definitely had a significant impact on the way Durga Puja was celebrated this year. Otherwise, it would have been a massacre. So I again congratulate you for the efforts that you have put in, and of course the petitioner for enabling you to put in the efforts and securing this fantastic judgment from the judiciary. And it has definitely resulted in saving of thousands and lakhs of lives in the state of West Bengal. Dada, I wanted to understand, like, somebody of your stature, somebody who has a standing of more than 10 years in Calcutta High Court, what excites you about this public interest litigation, especially when it comes in the way of paid walks.
The best excitement comes when you get a chance to make law. You'll feel yourself to be the lawmakers. There's a good excitement because public interest litigations is a place where a lawyer can actually show his capability of research, capability of framing an issue or raising a particular issue. Because Purban, this is one of the very important aspect of jurisprudence, that a good lawyer know how to frame, how to ask the appropriate question at appropriate time. And framing of the question is the most important thing. You might have thousands of papers in your hand, but you have to reduce it down to one line or two lines by framing one sentence. A lawyer is a good lawyer if he can express himself in a single line, single stanza. Then only he can uh, convince someone in a very lucid manner. So, what excites me a lot in public interest litigation is that you get a chance to participate in the law making process itself. Because sometimes we file public interest litigation raising a question that this field doesn't have any law. A court needs to pass a guidelines, and sometimes we come up with a public interest litigation that this is a situation where we have no other place to go. The court must intervene in this issue and frame certain guidelines to by interfering in this issue and address the issue at the larger interest of the public. So this is something which excites me more in to work in the field of public interest litigation. And I feel that all the lawyers, all the junior lawyers specifically, they can actually get a huge opportunity to learn more about some of the serious sets of law if they seriously come and practice in the field of public interest litigation. According to me, it's the best school to learn the law, to learn the new laws in order to make a complete lawyer, which is very essential.
True, Dada. Very true, very true. Dada, what would you say? What is your greatest courtroom victory till date?
Greatest?
Courtroom victory.
I cannot say that I do not look this practice as a place of victory or defeat, because this cannot be a good yardstick for a lawyer, because a lawyer do not always look forward for victory or defeat, because we may uh, get a victory sometime, we may lose a case, we may win a case. But this situation, I would say there are many matters where we could learn a lot of things, not only from the seniors from my side, but seniors from other sides, by our opponent lawyers. So completely it is a victory process. A lawyer
Right, right,
always is winning something by the way of his learning. He
right, right,
wins or lose at the end of the day doesn't matter. But what matters, whether he is learning something, and whether he is also, I would say that learning and again relearning the things. And de-learning is also important. Sometimes the laws are being updated regularly. So sometimes we need to forget some old things and inculcate new things, and sometimes we need to develop our skill by using the fundamentals of law. And where I think both victory and loss both gives you immense opportunity to learn.
right. Absolutely, Dada. Okay, I'll rephrase my question and I'll ask this question again. What would you say? What is your most challenging litigation in court?
I say there are several litigations were challenging, but I can still remember the effort of a lawyer. I should tell you the story of one particular matter. This was a matter challenging the election process of Bidhannagar Municipal Corporation in the year 2015. And there was huge allegation against the State Election Commission at that point of the time, specifically against the State Election Commissioner of West Bengal, that there were huge rigging, looting of votes, and all these things were there in Bidhannagar Municipal Corporation election in the year 2015. But initially, when there were these allegations were made by various political parties and on many of the stakeholders, the election commission decided to examine all the video footage, kept in the CCTV camera in each booth where the complaints were made. But when this was declared on behalf of the state election commissioner, it was alleged that some of the powerful ministers of the state, they visited the office of the state election commissioner and intimidated him to resign. Immediately thereafter, the election commissioner of the state resigned, and another officer who was traveling with the Honorable Chief Minister in Bhutan at that point of the time, he was immediately appointed as the interim election commissioner of the state. This was challenged by one of the petitioners who is no more with us, Mr. Amitabh Majumdar. This matter was led by Mr. Somaraditya Pal. And you know that to get a chance to work with Mr. Somaraditya Pal, being the junior most counsel in a matter, it was an immense opportunity for me to learn. And I found Mr. Pal taking the challenge of the entire state machinery before the Honorable Court by arguing the case, by dismantling one after another issues, ultimately landing to the core constitutional issue of the process of appointment of the election commissioner. Whether we have a practice or procedure of independent practice or procedure to ensure the appointment of a person as election commissioner in order to enable him to discharge his duty independently and in a fair manner. Ultimately, this question was landed up to Mr. Pal has landed up to this particular question of law. Unfortunately, the matters could not be completed as yet because ultimately, after 30 days of hearing of this matter by Mr. Pal, there were few technical issues raised by the opponent counsel, and ultimately this matter was released by Justice Justice of the Honorable Court and presently the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, the Honorable Justice Dipankar Datta. I had the opportunity to learn, but this is in respect of learning. But if you ask me that whether I have faced such a challenge being a counsel in a matter, leading counsel in a matter, I can still remember there were few matters like the matters related to the new matters like this Cable Television Network Regulations Act. There are various provisions where there are a lot of scope of interpretation. Sometimes the government gives a notice that you can't run your local channel. You can. So these are the matters where I appeared, and ultimately this was a new area of practice and new area of law which I could convince the honorable judge on this particular issue. There were the field of challenging field where I had the opportunity to work with. That is, this law related to the political parties. Sometime I had the opportunity to appear before the Election Commission of India, where one of the political parties' symbol was sought to be seized for violation of the financial norms of the Election Commission. So these are the good opportunities, but most challenging litigation which I have come across was another matter which I should tell, that is the parliamentary secretary matter in Sikkim, state of Sikkim. As I was telling you that initially I had an opportunity to be part of a matter challenging the validity of the West Bengal Parliamentary Secretaries Act in West Bengal in the High Court of Calcutta. I got a chance to argue a case before the Honorable High Court of Sikkim on a similar challenging the similar legislation passed by the Sikkim Legislative Assembly, and ultimately the Sikkim Legislative Assembly's legislation in respect of Parliamentary Secretary was declared as ultra vires by the Honorable High Court. And another matter regarding disqualification of few of the MLAs of Sikkim Legislative Assembly on the ground that they have disqualified on the ground of defection. And I faced various challenge while conducting these cases regarding the defection by the elected members. So these are the challenging areas which I have come across personally. So there are many other instances because a lawyer's life is full of challenges. Without challenge, a lawyer
Absolutely.
cannot survive. If a person doesn't have a challenge in the life, particularly in the practicing life, their lawyer he cannot be called as a lawyer because a lawyer is required to face challenge all the time. He is going to make himself available for any challenge at any point of the time.
True, Dada. Very true. Very true. Dada, do you think your political affiliation had any role to play in shaping you or shaping your personality, so to say, as a lawyer?
Obviously, that's so true because without, and I would not say that it's this affiliation. It's a question of your growth. Politics, a person is a political by nature, and I don't think that be part of the politics or mainstream politics is a sin because it is sometimes considered that if you part of the politics you are committing a sin, but it is not the fact. Rather, it's very important to understand the uh, ideology of the person. If you want to decode that person's political life or the person's character. But still, I consider that political life is having immense importance in the process of building someone's personality. Like I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. You must have heard about Justice B.R. Krishna Iyer. Justice Iyer became Supreme Court judge. He was elevated Supreme Court judge later, but initially he was a member of the Kerala state government in the ministry in the cabinet led by EMS Namudripad, the first communist government of the world in elected communist government of the world in 1957. So Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer held the position of you know the the education minister of that particular state, and later on he was elevated as the judge of the Supreme Court. This by a minister of law, and later on he was elevated as a judge of the Supreme Court. It is not the fact. The fact is whether a person is telling you the truth. I might hide my political ideology, propaganda, whatsoever within myself. I may not I may not reveal those things in public, but that is not the test. Test is whether I'm telling you the truth. That whether I was a part of something, it is not a sin. See, if someone knows, if somebody has a problem regarding that, he may come to me, may not come to me. But for that, he will have the clear understanding about myself. So there cannot be any hide and seek game. I might have something in my mind and I am telling people something else. That is not something which is permissible. If you have an ideology, please speak out the ideology, spell out the ideology, and build yourself in terms of that ideology. I will tell you about one book. This book was called as this Practice and Life. This was written by this Practice and Life. This is written by one of the Chinese author, where it was clearly stated that if you have a strong practice in your life itself is a part of your practice. It's you have to build up the I should tell you hallmark of your practice of your life. As Mahatma Gandhi said, that my life is my teachings, and like that, everybody must build up something, build up their life to give their own teachings to the society or their own message to the society, which is very important according to me. So this is something I would tell you that, and I'm really indebted to my political ideology, which has shaped my career. I cannot forget that ideology, and without my affiliation, I wouldn't become what I am today. until and unless this political ideology was with me or shaped my character or shaped my understanding of law or shaped my way of practice. That's all.
Right, very, very true. So, Dada, what would be your advice for the young law students who are yet to enter the area of practice?
The
How do we
first thing,
utilize those
appreciate
5 years?
freedom of speech and expression. Appreciate freedom of speech and expression in personal life and professional life. Don't consider this profession, this noble profession, to be the machine of earning only. A person can earn a lot, but this system, when you are part of this noble system, you should contribute something for the betterment of the system. In terms of the system and future of the system, we are presently facing unprecedented challenges, in terms of the existence of this institution itself. We are facing tremendous challenges, and we, being the part of the bar, we cannot deny our responsibility towards the erosion of the system. This system, we should remember, it's the creature of the constitution. Constitution is having certain values. These are known as constitutional values. And those constitutional values, like values inculcated from the idea of socialism, secularism, democracy, republic, the words which are there in the preamble, all the lawyers must be inspired by those words. Equality, try to appreciate equality, and then try to do something for this system itself. It is on the way, it is definitely our bread and butter, but we should not look into this profession as only the source of bread and butter, but rather we should look at this system and we should consider ourselves to be part of this system. We should feel proud to be part of this system, because the system itself is the creature of the constitutional. We are also acting under the framework of the constitution. So a lawyer must have only one mantra, that is the upholding the values given by the constitution. Try to appreciate that, and then hard work. And then another thing, last but not least, a lawyer should have a disciplined life. And then a lawyer, there cannot be any force which will be able to stop a lawyer from his success, because sky is the limit in this profession.
That's so true, Dada. So it was a very informative interview with you. It was highly beneficial, and it was a great learning experience for me to conduct this interview with you, Dada. Broadly, what I gather, to sum up, as you rightly pointed out, that understanding of procedural laws and procedural technicalities from the very court of original jurisdiction is very essential to argue substantial question of law in constitutional writ courts. So that was pointed out by you at the very initial stage. Then you said that how senior lawyers or senior counsel can shape your career and can contribute to your practice and can help you grow yourself in this particular profession. So guidance from a senior counsel is always essential. Then you said that the being a lawyer, there are certain constitutional duties that gets imposed on you to secure constitutional governance in this land, to use constitution and law as an instrument to change the society. So that is why nothing should come in the way of your discharge of that particular duty and taking up those public interest litigation matters. And a lawyer, as a lawyer by profession, it is the duty of every lawyer to take up such pro bono public interest matters. Then you rightly pointed out, Dada, about how every day a lawyer's life is like full of challenges, and there is no victory as such. A lawyer is always winning because he's either learning something or actually getting a favorable order. So it's always win-win case for lawyers. And there are challenges which comes on lawyers' life on daily basis, and so these challenges are to be faced upfront, head on, and then we'll have to deal with it and we'll have to grow in our profession. And last but not the least, as you pointed out, for young lawyers in the bar and for the young law students, that the students and the lawyer must appreciate the constitutional values that are enshrined under the Constitution of India, the fundamental constitutional values like equality, dignity, secularism, socialism. And that's the only way to build a career. That's the only way to build the character of a lawyer, the character which will probably in turn help us grow as a better lawyer and then discipline so as to be successful in this particular profession. So, correct me, Dada, if I went wrong anywhere. But just to summarize the entire discussion with you, it's going to be highly beneficial and it's going to be very, very informative piece, which will probably be available in our YouTube channel. Anybody can come and see anytime. So it's going to be very helpful for young lawyers and young law students like me. And I must also tell you, Dada, that I consider myself to be highly privileged to be able to know you for all these years. And I'm very fortunate, actually, that you have given me this opportunity to grow under your guidance. So you have always been somebody who has been a source of encouragement and inspiration. So I look up to you, Dada. So the work that you are doing for the society has immense value. The contribution that you have made in terms of the securing the constitutional law governance in this land, that will of course be remembered in history. Thank you very much for joining me today in our legal scrutiny, our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking out time.
Thank you, Purba, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dada. It was a pleasure. Thank you.